Hello there friends, CS News Live here. In today's video, Astralis are burned out, JL dreams of lifting the trophy, and we cover day 2 of IEM Cologne, plus a ton of other exciting news from the world of CS2. So as always, without further ado, let's get straight to it. And we shall kick off our today's episode by discussing yesterday's events, which by the way you can check out in our previous video. So if you remember, G2 shockingly got knocked out by Saw. The community's reaction was immediate, and MOUZ Snake, for example, didn't hold back. On his Twitter, he wrote that if Hooxi were in Snax's place, such a loss wouldn't have happened. He even asked for a number of the person who decided to replace Hooxi with Snax and who thought that he was better. I honestly can't help but wonder how that conversation would go if MOUZ Snake actually got the number and what he would say in the end. One thing's for sure though, it looks like a whole clique of haters is forming against G2's current captain. Also, in the very next post, the same analyst reacted to the Dragon's loss, saying that Mzinho is the best 17-year-old player. Essentially, he implied that the young talent from TheMongolz is much stronger than Donk, and honestly, watching yesterday's match, it certainly felt that way. And a little more about yesterday's matches. Before the Spirit vs Mongols showdown, Heroics players were asked who they thought would win. Most of them obviously predicted Spirit, but Nerds and Tasses decided to put their faith into the Mongolian Dream Team, and they were spot on. But that's not all. Before the Sol vs G2 match, only Tasses and Nerds again predicted the Portuguese victory. I mean, what? Do they always have that kind of good instincts? Or maybe they just saw the leaked scripts. I mean, they should definitely use this gift of foreseeing future to win a major, for example, or at least a diamond coin when we get one. Let's take a little break from yesterday's matches and dive into some stats. We can find some interesting insights. For example, Zepnix has never won IEM Cologne as a player. Wait, what? Yeah, that's true. With the Astralis, he reached the semifinals 6 times, finishing 3rd, 4th, and only once they did finish in 5th, 8th place. Yeah, you heard that right again, 4-time major champions never got the IEM Cologne title. However, Zepnix now has a chance, though in a different role, as an assistant coach, because currently he's with MOUZ. And these boys have a solid shot at winning, especially considering the recent poor performances from G2 and Team Spirit. But MOUZ has a formidable opponent in Navi, who have found their style and are tearing through their opponents one by one. One of Navi's top players recently shared his thoughts on the trophy and his training process. According to him, he's finally found the right balance in his practice routine. We're obviously talking about JL. He says he's in great shape and ready to dominate. He also mentioned that he practices mostly on FaZe and always tries to give it all. JL also revealed that he really wants to lift the IEM Cologne trophy, simply because it's the biggest he's seen so far. Like, literally. He's even curious if he can lift it with one hand. I mean, JL is definitely buffed, but we need to see Navi win first for him to lift the trophy. By the way, to make sure you don't miss out on the biggest news, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And since we're already talking about Navi, here's some more interesting stats for you. Right now, the team is on a 10-game win streak on Mirage. On average, their opponents managed to win only 5.5 rounds on this map. This basically means that any team should study Navi's Mirage just as much as possible, by any legal and maybe even some less than legal means. Surely you can also ban Mirage against Navi, or at least try to do it. Otherwise, this could be yet another easy tournament win for Navi, especially since many betting websites and analysts have already named them the tournament favorites. What do you guys think? Who could win Cologne? Write your thoughts in the comments below. Before we dive into the matches, let's talk about a challenge for Astralis that they are currently facing. The team's coach, Rogga, revealed that at the end of the last season, the team aimed for better results, but ran into burnout. And you know what, guys? Interestingly, this isn't the first time Astralis has faced this issue. If you remember, Device has experienced burnout multiple times and had to take breaks, and other players have dealt with it as well. In Denmark, burnout is recognized as an official illness, and it's something players frequently encounter. We sincerely hope that the team is now fully recharged and, well, mentally, and ready to show what they're capable of. And now let's finally talk about the matches of Day 2 of IEM Cologne. First up, Furia versus Vitality. The match started on Inferno, the map chosen by the Brazilian team. However, it turned out to be a real nightmare for them as Zaivu kicked things off with an ace in the pistol round. This kinda shocked Furia as they only managed to win their first round when the score was already 5-0. And just to remind you, Inferno is currently a map where the most rounds are won on T side. Thankfully, Furia pulled themselves together and secured a couple more rounds, but their momentum was halted by Flames, who took down 4 players and turned a 3v5 into a win for his team. Such a dominant performance from Vitality led them to 9-3 by the end of the first half. After the sides switched, nothing changed really. Vitality just closed out the map with ease. And as Mzinho admitted later when he saw Zaivu's ace, he knew that Furia was in for a tough day. Next was Vitality's pick, Mirage, and the situation here was similar to the first map. However, this time Vitality secured 10 rounds, while their opponents managed to take only 2. The only highlight was a 1v3 clutch by Spinks. After the sides switched, Vitality won 3 rounds, sending the Brazilians to the lower bracket. Meanwhile, MOUZ faced Falcons, and it turned out to be more interesting than many had expected. But let's go through it step by step. It all started on Nuke, the signature map for Falcons, which looked like a complete beatdown. In the first half, MOUZ lost only 1 round. Surely, Nuke is a CT-oriented map, so there was no real surprise here. A comeback was possible to some extent, right up until the pistol round in the second half, which MOUZ also won, leaving Falcons with no room for mistakes, like literally. And you know what? Initially, Falcons seemed to find their rhythm, taking 5 rounds in a row and looking like they could keep going. But at 12-6, MOUZ finally broke their defense and closed out the map. Next we had Vertigo, MOUZ's pick. Given how Falcons usually play this map, many expected a repeat of the first map's dominance, especially since MOUZ started on the stronger side. However, it didn't go as planned, and it wasn't until 4-1 when MOUZ began their winning streak, reaching 7-5. I mean, credit to Falcons for their defensive play. It was a solid result, especially against a team like MOUZ. After sides switched, Falcons continued to dominate, tearing apart MOUZ's defense from all angles. MOUZ even struggled to win a single round. And yes, Falcons secured a victory on their opponent's map pick, raising the possibility of yet another upset. And now the decider, Ancient. And it seemed that after their fantastic performance on the second map, Falcons were ready to keep rolling. They won the first 4 rounds with ease. But then MOUZ decided to take control. They won the first half 7-5. And now Falcons went to the stronger side, once again. And again, initially it seemed that everything was going according to the plan, as Falcons won another 4 rounds in a row and even took the lead. But something broke down, and MOUZ just clawed their way back into the game. And the final blow came from Torji and Sershan, who each secured 4 kills in the penultimate and final rounds, which basically sent the veterans down to the lower bracket. Next up was a true El Clasico of the CS world, Navi versus Astralis. Sure, the lineups aren't what they used to be, but let's be honest, Real Madrid and Barcelona also have gone through changes recently and throughout the history. So the match started on Astralis's pick, Ancient. And here, huge shout out to Navi's coach, as their well-coordinated defense was clearly a result of his guidance. Despite being on the weaker side, the team managed to secure 8 rounds, giving up only 4. And much of this success could be credited to JL, who won a crucial 1v2 clutch in the middle of the half. After sides switched, the Danes had no answer to Navi, as they won 5 rounds in a row and moved on to the second map. It was Mirage, Navi's signature map, as we already discussed. Astralis managed to get a foothold early on, within a couple of rounds. However, Navi quickly decided to show what they're made of, stringing together a 4-round streak. followed by 2 more, doubling their lead by the end of the first half. After the sides switched, Astralis managed to take first 2 rounds, but Navi responded with a 3-round streak and then closed out the final 2 rounds with ease. With this, Navi's win streak on Mirage continues, but credit to Astralis for managing to take more than 5 rounds. Meanwhile, we saw MONGOLZ versus SAW. I remind you that this is the upper bracket, and these guys beat Spirit and G2 the other day. First up was Ancient MONGOLZ pick. The game started with a brilliant pistol round by Techno. However, after that, MONGOLZ gave up a series of 3 rounds, but managed to bounce back, winning nearly 7 rounds in a row, leading to 8-4 in the first half. Many expected them to close out the map without much trouble on the CT side, and at first it seemed that way, especially after they won the first pistol round and the follow-up round. But then the Portuguese team found a flaw in their defense and took 6 rounds in a row, bringing the game to a tie. This didn't clearly sit well with 910, who responded by taking out 4 players with the AWP in a crucial moment. Then Story stepped up with a 1v3 clutch, putting SAW on map point. However, the Mongols were determined to win their pick and pushed the game to overtimes, where they closed out the map 4-1 against the Portuguese. Next up was Nuke, SAW's pick. And it kicked off with a beautiful ace by Rozdak, and such a strong start turned into a 4-round streak for the Portuguese on the T side. But the Mongols responded by taking 3 rounds in a row. After that it was back and forth, ultimately ending the half in 7-5 for SAW. After sides switched, the Mongols could only take 2 rounds, which pushed the match to a decider. And the final map started disastrously for the Mongols. They barely managed to take 3 rounds in the first half. Right, they were on the weaker side, but the Portuguese completely dominated them on the map. And after sides switched, the Mongols attempted to do a comeback and even managed to take nearly 7 rounds in a row, but it wasn't enough. SAW secured the last 2 rounds and advanced to the upper bracket, while the Mongols were sent back to the lower bracket. And next, my friends, was the most juiciest match of the day, the elimination showdown between G2 and Team Spirit in the lower bracket. But before we get to the action, we have to mention that out of their 7 last meetings, the Dragons had only managed to win 2. And now into the match, starting with Nuke, Spirit's pick. The map kicked off with a 1v2 clutch from Hunter, which gave G2 a 3-0 lead. Spirit managed to take a round despite being at a disadvantage, but G2 answered with a streak of 4, eventually pushing the score to 9-3. Spirit had a chance to mount a comeback, especially on the stronger side, but things didn't go their way. To be more specific, Hunter was on fire, winning almost every engagement. In the penultimate round, he even knifed m0NESY and still won a 1v2, leading G2 to a dominant victory on their opponent's pick. Interestingly, this map was Hunter's best since transition to CS2. Next, Mirage, G2's pick. And it seems Nico wasn't joking when he said that he had specifically prepared for the Dragons. How else can you explain a 11-1 score in the first half? With Nico himself putting the final nail in the coffin by taking down 4 players with the MP9 in the pit. Holy moly, it was a pure demolition. As a result, Spirit became the first team to be eliminated from the IEM Cologne at this stage. Has anybody seen Donk? Anyway, the final match of the day was another elimination battle, this time between Pain and 9Z. It all started on Anubis Pain's pick, which kicked off with a clutch from Max in the pistol round. However, after that the Argentinians ran into some trouble as Pain secured a streak of 3 rounds. 9Z responded, it was back and forth, but ultimately it led to another 3-round streak for Pain, which allowed the Brazilians to close the first half in their favor. But after the side switch, something changed, as if it was the teams were swapped. 9Z began to dominate on the CT side, which led to their victory in the first map. On Dust 2, the Argentinians pick. Once again, the game started with dominance from Pain, as the Brazilians took 5 rounds in a row. Then came a series of real ups and downs, with both teams trading rounds back and forth. This resulted in 7-5 in favor of Pain. When sides switched, 9Z managed to take only the pistol round, the follow-up, and 1 more round. So we were up for the decider, Nuke, and this map is where Argentinians shown great form during the play-in stage, but they encountered serious problems on the stronger side for some reason. On CT they managed to win only 2 rounds, however they once again displayed strong play on the T side, gradually mounting a comeback. Unfortunately, a critical mistake left them with no room for error, and they ultimately lost due to weak defense, leading to their elimination. As a result, at the end of the day, Navi and MOUZ secured their spots in the playoffs, while Spirit and 9Z were eliminated from the tournament. And that's all, my friends, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel. And as always, comment with whatever you like. I'm not saying goodbye for a long time. See you soon.